Hello and welcome to another episode of BTV. This is the podcast version. I'm Marcus Boston and I'm joined today with my wife,
Renee Boston.
And we want to talk today about celebrity news, the famous people.
Gossip.
The gossip, as Renee says. But if you've been looking at the news and paying attention, first part of the year, we're in the first part of coming up on 2013, but there was an announcement a couple of days ago, right, Renee?
I think it was made. What's today? It was made yesterday, I believe. Yesterday or today.
And you wanna? What was this? The
news? Big news in celebrity land is that Kanye West and Kim Kardashian are expecting their first child together. Kim is allegedly 3 months along, and so they are expecting their first child together.
Now, and how are we going to go and tie this into Maryland? Is because we have clients who are in these types of situations.
No. We don't have clients in these exact types of situations. Well,
not in this type exact. I mean, to the stature of Kim and Kanye, but
right.
We do have individuals who contact us about should they date while their divorce is pending or while they're separated. And for the listeners who don't know, technically, Kim is still married, right?
Well, the thing is, if people who keep up with celebrity news or celebrity gossip, as I like to call it, if they will remember, she got married to basketball player Kris Humphries back, I think it was the summer of 2011. And there was a big hoopla leading up to the marriage itself and the wedding, and the relationship led up to the grand wedding that they had in the summer of 2011. And 72 days later, Kim filed for a divorce.
Okay, 72 days. 72 days?
Right.
Wow, that's. We talk about a quickie, right?
That was like, what, a little over 2 months?
So, yeah. So for our, tying this back into Maryland divorce work or Maryland work, if this occurred in Maryland, would this really be something good to be announcing a baby like this and still technically legally married?
Well, there are multiple ways that this can affect a pending divorce. In Maryland, if whether grounds exist or the no-fault grounds exist, meaning in Maryland we don't have technically irreconcilable differences, and that's what a lot of celebrities and people file in other states, saying that they pretty much agree that they don't want to be married to each other. In Maryland, we have a 12-month waiting period followed by a claim for a voluntary separation, meaning both parties agree, look, we don't want to be married to each other, but we have to stay legally separated and apart for a year. So that's the closest thing we have to the no-fault grounds. Now with that, if say for instance the parties split on day one and decide they're going to live separate and apart and going to get divorced a year from today, well, if say for instance this was Kim and Kris actually lived in Maryland, and during the pending the time frame where they're waiting on their divorce to actually file and while the process is pending while they're legally separated, if this were to happen and say Kim gets pregnant while she's waiting for divorce or waiting to file for divorce during this time frame, Kris can now go back and amend his original complaint from a voluntary separation, or instead of waiting for the voluntary separation time period, he could amend his complaint and now allege that Kim has committed adultery. Wow. And his proof of that is clearly.
Oh yeah, the proof is there. She's
proof
out
in the pudding.
It's in the pudding. Someone was in the pudding. So it's really. We see these things in a lot of the celebrity stuff, but that's why it's very important that people understand that different states, different laws, different rules, and you really have to be careful with a lot of this type of stuff. A lot of people tend to think that it's no big deal about specifically, going out and having a child or getting into, another relationship,
right.
Having sexual relations while you're technically still married. For instance, in many states, a child born of a married woman is presumed to be the child of the husband by the court, right?
Right.
Is that how it is here?
And in Maryland, it is. So let's go back to the example of Kim Kardashian and Kris Humphries. If they were both Maryland residents and Kim got pregnant by Kanye West, well, then technically Chris Humphries would be kind of on the hook for helping to maintain and raise Kim and Kanye's baby. Because Kim is a married woman, this baby is deemed to be a product of this marriage. Now, if Chris divorces after the divorce, Kim can actually seek, to a certain extent, child support from Chris for the raising of this baby that is not his, but because it was a product of, quote unquote, the marriage, it will be presumed that it's his child.
So let's go back on that, because that was a lot, and of course you handle most of the family stuff in here. I'm just most of the injury work guy, but you're saying that if in Maryland, Kim and Chris were still married and everything, well, technically they are still married, but they hadn't filed for any type of divorce, they were living along and everything, and Kanye sneaks in the back room and comes in, does his thing, Kim gets pregnant, the child would be presumed to be the product of the marriage. I mean,
right, exactly, and it's
the marriage with Chris, right?
In its simplest terms, if a party, whether it's the husband or the wife, a party steps outside their marriage and conceives a child with someone else, that child is going to be presumed to be the product of the marriage. More than likely, it's usually the mother. If the mother is a part of the marriage, whatever child she, gets and picks up from whomever else, is going to be considered a part of the marriage. I have not read of any cases where it's happened where the husband has outside children, but usually with the wife and any children that she bears, they're presumed to be the product.
If she's married at the time, it's going to be presumed that that the child was
they belong to her husband, right?
As a husband, man, got to keep these doors locked.
Keep your doors locked.
Keep the windows.
Keep your shades pulled down.
They climbing through the windows.
They're snatching up your kids. They're snatching up your husbands.
Right, they're snatching them up. So, but this is really big news, and we've had some people to ask us about this, and that's kind of why we're doing this podcast, because people want to know. It's big news, and it's.
But also people want to. I think people are concerned about if you remove the celebrity, what happens if these were everyday people?
Right.
If Kanye worked at the courthouse and Kim was a teacher, what would happen if they were here? So I think it's more of once you strip away the Hollywood
glamour,
right. What happens? So,
but it could. I mean, this is a celebrity that we're talking about celebrities here. But the underlying issues, are issues that everyday people, and that's what I was meaning earlier. These are issues that come up with everyday people.
And you're right. There's somebody right now, probably in every county, in every courthouse, that is filed with some similar issues to this. I've read plenty of cases that are similar to this, and that I've seen,
where it could. Things like this take place,
especially with the presumed, with the affair of the wife and the presumed parentage of the father.
Right. But the adultery thing again, and that's why if you're listening to this and you're going through something like this, or you're thinking about dating while you're separated, I mean, we strongly suggest that you do not date, or you do not put yourself in a situation where the other spouse can go back and either amend or try to say that you were committing adultery.
Yeah,
and talk really quick too, Renee, about how that would affect going.
And that's what I want to say too. If both parties agree that the marriage is broken and they're going to, they're both walking away from it equally, then the court usually will try to divide the property. And I'm not saying it's equal as in 50-50, but they will use an equitable distribution to divide the property. And that's when there are no fault grounds, or when the parties have agreed. However, when there's a fault grounds on one of the parties, the court can use that to add to or take away from the distribution. Say, for instance, they were going to make it 50-50, but because somebody's cheating, then now that person only gets 25%, and the other party gets 75%, or whatever the division. I'm just throwing some numbers out there to make it kind of easy to kind of
These are just examples, everybody.
Right.
These are just examples.
So fault grounds do come into play, and the court uses those fault grounds when determining how to divide assets, as well as custody if there are any children, or child support or alimony or anything like that. So that's why it's imperative that I would advise you definitely lay low during the pendency of any kind of divorce proceeding. But definitely you got to protect yourself. You got to protect your future, because every action that you take from the time you decide that the marriage is over until the judge issues that final order, everything is fair game. So be cognizant of that.
I would have to say that pretty much sums it up. And you say that the new name now they're
Kimye.
Kimye now.
You know,
Kimye.
remember when we had the Brangelina and the Benifer?
Okay.
So now it's Kimye.
It's Kimye, and there's also been some talk. And I know we're straying a little bit from the Maryland law stuff, but there's also been some talk of how Kim is beginning to affect Kanye's career and some things
I don't know.
like that.
Somebody said that fool had on like all white and feathers the other day. I don't know. I'm not a fan. So I'm just saying. I heard
we
that's
see it, and we know what's going on, and they live lives that are a lot different than your everyday people.
And any man
like
who will put on a leather skirt that's not Irish and it's not a kilt, he got problems.
Well, okay.
So I'm just gonna put that out there.
Okay. Well, leather skirt. Okay.
Leather skirt.
Okay. He's got problems. All right. Well, that right there. I guess
you ain't getting no leather skirt.
Yeah, I'm not. You don't have to worry about that with me. So, well, I think we are about out of time. We're now up to almost 12 minutes, and so I guess.
We're signing off until next time?
I guess we'll be signing off until next time.
Are you still thinking about that leather skirt?
You look, some things, they're just awful for your imagination. But if you will have a story or a celebrity question that you want us to talk about or interested in how it could possibly play out with Maryland law or Maryland issues, you can send us an email at info@bostonlawllc.com. Again, that's info@bostonlawllc.com. If you are watching this podcast or listening, because it's going to go up on YouTube. So if you're listening or watching or whatever, and it came to you through one of our weekly news updates, and you have some questions about it, or you want to suggest something, you can just reply back to that email,
right?
And it'll come to us, and we'll be able to read it and see everything. So until next time, I'm Marcus Boston,
and I'm Renee Boston,
and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. You have just listened to a podcast from the trial attorneys at Boston Law Group, LLC. For more information, you can reach us at 301-850-4832. And if you would like us to answer a question in one of our podcasts, send us an email at info@bostonlawllc.com. Thank you and have a great day.